What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Sacred Jedi Texts, and if you've been keeping up with my videos and with any of these series, I have some apologizing to do. I know it's been a super long time since I put anything out, but I got super busy back in the summer. I had to get ready for my wedding. I got married, went on the honeymoon, went on a few different vacations, and I just got really bogged down for a few weeks, so I couldn't make any videos. Um, and then I just started doing some more at work, and everything just kind of got away from me. But we are back. We are going to be back on a regular release schedule. New videos coming every day, and I'm going to try to get back into what we were going through before. And I actually am going to do a full book summary of Dark Disciple since it is going to tie into the Bad Batch Season 3. But I know you're not here to hear me talk about any of this stuff, so let's get into Chapter 20 of Timothy Zahn's Heir to the Empire. So when we start Chapter 20, we are now in Han's point of view. We start off with 3PO talking to Winter over the comms. 3PO is using that voice cloaking programming that Lando had, so he's making himself sound just like Leia. Han is instructing 3PO on what to say to Winter, and he tells him to tell her that they're going to go check out the Gatos' manufacturing infrastructure. Now, we know that this is a lie, but Han is just trying to cover for them. Winter tells them not to be gone too much longer, and she asks Leia, who is actually 3PO, if she can speak to Han. So Han and Lando at this point, they both kind of think that Winter knows what they're up to. They're kind of grimacing at each other, and they don't think that this is going good. However, Han talks to her anyway. So Winter tells Han that Akbar has been asking about him. Han then asks Winter if it's family business with Akbar's children, and she says yes. And then Han asks about some kind of neighbors, Akbar's neighbors, giving them trouble. And she kind of pauses for a second, but she says she hasn't heard. And so then they talk for a few more moments. Han tells her that they won't be gone too much longer. They're going to go visit Abridged, and then they're going to head back. When Winter asks if there's anything else that Han needs to tell her, Han just asks her to pull up the Fasci recovery system. And remember, Fasci is where Han and Leia were attacked by the Nagri. I think it was the second time they were attacked by them. Winter says that the recovery is coming along well. There were some problems with supply shipments, but they seem to be all fixed. She then tells Han that Akbar made his own container ships, and that he has cut the crews back and put droids in them. This worries Han, and he says that ships run by droids like that would be extremely easy targets for the Imperials. Han and Winter then stop talking, and Han seems worried. He tells Lando that he feels as though something is about to go down on Coruscant regarding Akbar. And then he says that if he can read Winter right, it seems as though Phalia has started pushing for Akbar's territory. Han then alludes that they need to hurry up with their business and then get back to Coruscant. Lando is like, well, is it really that bad that we need to hurry everything up and jump back there real quick? And this is where Han reveals that the whole time he and Winter were speaking, they were talking in code. The neighbors that Han mentioned to her, Akbar's neighbors, were his way of asking if the Empire was kind of getting in on Akbar's business. And so now Han says that without Leia there at Coruscant, he's worried that Phalia could bully the Council into giving him whatever he wants. So Han and Lando then step down from the Falcon into the Abridged Ray spaceport. They're supposed to be meeting their contact there, Talon Karrde's contact, at one of the bars in the spaceport called the Lobu. I think I'm saying that right, but I might not be, so I'm sorry if I'm not. When they walk inside the Lobu, they look around and they find the area where they're supposed to meet the contact, order wine, and have a little bit of banter. Han then tells Lando to turn around and see if someone at a sabacc table behind them is a person that they know. Lando looks around, kind of trying to make it discreet, and he does recognize him, and it's a man by the name of Finn Torv. Lando says that he hasn't seen Finn since the last Kessel run he and Han did together, which was the same Kessel run where Han infamously made it in 12 parsecs, and where he beat Lando in the sabacc game to win the Falcon. And so they kind of talk about this a little. They're going back and forth. Lando's still bitter about it. Han then says that if he hadn't won the Falcon from Lando, they probably wouldn't have even won the war with the Empire, which in his defense is true, and that he, Luke, and Chewie wouldn't have even ever been able to rescue Leia from the first Death Star, which is also true. So Lando does kind of have to cut him a little bit of slack, in my opinion. Anyways, Lando can tell that Han is really worried about Leia, with her being in Kashyyyk with Chewie and the danger that they're all in, and she's still pregnant. But Lando assures Han that she's going to be okay, and he then wonders why the Empire wants her. And Han's like, well, I know exactly why. It's because of the twins. And Han says that if it were for any other reason, they would have just stunned them with their blasters and taken them in. But he then reveals that stun weapons have a 50% chance of causing a miscarriage. So that's exactly why they didn't stun them, and Han's right on point with this. So Han and Lando both think that Torv is probably Karrde's contact, but they wonder why he hasn't left the sabacc table to come over there and meet with him. That is when he sees 3 security guards over at the bar who they think are likely there for Torv. And earlier on in the chapter they saw some security guards in one of the docking bays. It was docking bay 63, and they thought to themselves, this might be our contact. Han then asks the table attendant to get him 20 sabacc chips. He's going to go over to Torv's table, play a few hands, and talk to him there before the guards can find Torv and potentially cause him to run. Han tells Lando to be ready to run interference, and then he walks over to Torv's table. He sits down, asks to be dealt in, and then talks in code to Torv, trying to figure out if Torv is who he's supposed to be talking to. He kind of tells Torv in a discreet way that the guards were there at his docking bay to try to figure out if that was Torv's docking bay, and it was. Han could tell by his reaction. Just when Han feels as though he's ready to get a read on Torv and they can, fill each other out, they can get into their negotiations, this enormous man comes up behind Han, snatches his sabacc cards, and accuses him of cheating. In this instance, Han really isn't cheating. He's actually playing fair. But the commotion that this causes gets everybody riled up, and those security guards come over. After everyone is examined and scanned, it's proven that Han wasn't cheating, so they let him go. Torv, however, has already slipped out, and so did Lando. Han then gets back to the Falcon where he sees Lando just outside. He tells Lando that he hopes Torv didn't get away, and that is when Lando reveals that Torv is actually sitting in the Falcon's lounge. When they get to talking, Torv tells them that the guards were searching his ship, but that there was nothing incriminating in there. He does thank Han and Lando for getting him out of the Lobu, and he feels indebted to them. Torv then tells them that he is actually running food for a group of people. Han and Lando don't believe him. They're like, there's no way. And Torv says that he didn't actually believe it either at first, but that the people he's bringing food to don't trust the government. They're in Abridged, and they just want to be left alone. They just want to live on their own, keep to themselves, but the government doesn't like this, and to make an example out of them, the government cut all of their food and medical supplies off. And as a little side note, this kind of reminded me of the episode of Rebels, where the Ghost Crew steals the food and supplies for that village of people that the Empire isn't helping. So I don't know if that's where Dave Filoni got that episode from, if that was a little callback to this in Heir to the Empire, but it could be. It's fun to think about. Han, Lando, and Torv then begin talking about old times. Jabba dying, Han and Lando working together, and the Falcon. Lando tells Torv the full story about how Han won the Falcon playing sabacc, and then when they finish the particular story, Torv tells them, he knew everything that they had just said. He was just wanting to make sure that they weren't lying to him and that he could trust them. Torv then asks what Talon Karrde can do for them. Han tells him that he has an offer, the same offer that he gave to the smuggler near the beginning of the book. He wants Karrde to work with the New Republic to help with shipping. Torv says that he heard Han was looking for smugglers to do the job, but that most of them were under the impression that Han was only asking so the New Republic could easily catch them and stop their smuggling. Han assures him that this isn't true. He's like, nah, I promise. We just need help with shipping. Akbar has even okayed this. And so Torv's like, well, it sounds like a good offer, but it would have to be cleared with Karrde first since he runs everything and that's really not my decision to make. So Han then asks Torv to take them to Karrde, but Torv says that he can't. Karrde is on his main base and strangers aren't allowed there. It takes a little bit of convincing, but Torv owes Han and Lando, so he agrees to take them under one condition. He does the navigation and erases any data that can tell the Falcon where Karrde's base is. Han agrees, and Han also tells Torv that he can probably pull some strings and get his ship out of the impound. Torv says that they can leave as soon as Han is ready, and then this is kind of funny, he reveals that the big man who accused Han of cheating in the Sabacc game was actually one of his contacts. The fake Sabacc card was all him, and Torv used the big guy to get them all out of the situation without running into the authorities so that they could meet in the Falcon. So this whole plan, when Han and Lando thought they were in control, it was actually Torv, which I found a little bit funny. But the chapter then ends with Torv coding up a navigation module to Karrde's base. So that wraps up chapter 20 of Heir to the Empire. It's a little bit of a slower chapter, and it's a lot longer in the book than I've been telling you, like through the abridged version. There's a lot of fluff in this chapter, I guess you would say. It does give us a little bit more information on the nature of Han and Lando's relationship. They're all good now, obviously, because they went through the war together, but it's a bit of a slower chapter, and in chapter 21 we will get into more Mara Jade. We'll be back in her point of view. That's always an interesting chapter whenever she's the point of view character. But once again, I'm so sorry that it's taken me this long to get back into the swing of things. You can expect uploads every day now going forward, and like I said, be on the lookout for that Dark Disciple full novel summary so that we can all be ready for the Bad Batch Season 3 and how the book, which is canon, will tie into that show. But as always, I thank you for watching. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. Hope to see you around some more. Keep reading Star Wars.